In the Bible, often prophetic words are given in the nation's capital, or to powers, or to leaders, or to thrones. An interesting thing happened with the Harbinger. The first thing that happened was that a while after it was released, not only was it spreading around the country, we started getting reports that it was being read by members of Congress. And we even were contacted by members of Congress. One very famous member of Congress got in touch and said they had read the Harbinger and they were totally affected by it, and that we had to pray for America, we had to do something. And this member of Congress came down to New York City. We met and we prayed at the different sites of the Harbingers with a small group of people. We prayed, and then we got on a train to Washington, D.C., went down to Washington, and there we're taken into the Capitol building and prayed at the places there. And we've started seeing this movement, the Harbinger affecting powers or going to high places. And the day came for the Presidential Inaugural Prayer Breakfast. And I was asked to speak there. And I thought, when I was asked, I thought, well, they want me to do a 2-minute prayer. I said, how long do I have? And the woman answered, how long do you need? And I said, that's interesting. I said, what can I talk about? I said, well, why don't you talk about the Harbinger? So I headed down on the day of the inauguration. I believe the inauguration was significant in many ways, but this was the Presidential Inaugural Prayer Breakfast, which was put on by believers, but there were leaders there, members of government there. In Washington, just before the inauguration on that morning, I headed down, and I had virtually no sleep. I was sick, and that night in the hotel, I got 1 hour sleep. I was totally sick. I said, Lord, just take over. So I spoke, and really the Lord just took over. And the speech went viral, went on the web. Over 1 million people have seen the entire speech. And it was really the prophetic word of the Harbinger, and spoken on the day of the inauguration in Washington, D.C., which I believe there's a reason for that, and it's a warning. After that, I was asked to speak in the Capitol building, and there was a gathering linked to the founding of America, and I spoke inside the Capitol, and the original House of Representatives, where Lincoln and Adams spoke, and I spoke also the message of the Harbinger, and there were members of Congress, there were leaders and members of Congress gathered there, and afterwards several of them came up to me. One of them came up to me and hugged me and said, I'm a fan, we've been reading the Harbinger, and what we've heard is that it's having an effect on Capitol Hill. And so God has His way. This is all from God, and not that I know what I'm doing, but sometimes you don't have to know what you're doing. Just follow the Lord, and we need to pray for America.